Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of the Acupuncture Storytime podcast. The last 4 episodes were all easy. Today we're going into a case that was really difficult, a case that we almost gave up on because it seemed like nothing was working, but the solution came in an unexpected way. I'm your host, Daniel Rose, and let's check out a case of a cough that would not stop no matter what we did until we did the right thing. Okay, so diving in. This was a woman in her 50s. She got a really nasty cold. It was September 15th, 2022. And so I was like, okay, you have a cold with body aches and a runny nose and aversion to cold and shivers. I know what to do for that. Give you Jing Feng Baidu San. So I gave her my normal raw herbs. I gave her 3 bags of Jing Feng Baidu San, and that cleared out the body aches. But she still was having a cough that was a dry cough that was really bothering her. So I said, okay. And she was also having general dryness in her body, dry eyes, dry mouth, insomnia, stiff, painful neck, red eyes. That's the case here. And so I said, okay, so that form of Jing Feng Baidu San was good for clearing out the cold with the body aches. We need to give her something now that's going to calm the cough of the lung and that's also yin nourishing, that's going to also moisturize her. So I gave her a formula Xing Su Yin. So Xing Su San is one of my favorite cough formulas. I really fell in love with the formula. That's not the formula I used, but just parenthetically. The formula Xing Su San. I fell in love with that when my son, who I love so much, was sick with a really nasty cough when he was 4 years old. And I made him 1 raw herbs bag of Xing Su San, and he took it because he was so miserable with this cough. He was like, I'm just going to drink up these yucky herbs. He just took it straight, and like no kid ever does that, but he really wanted to get over it. And one day, it completely cleared the cough. Xing Su Yin is a modification of that formula that is more yin nourishing. And KPC Granules actually even has like a pediatric one that's really good. And it's great for kids' coughs in particular because you need to nourish the yin to protect their delicate lungs. But in this case, I thought it was good for this woman. So I gave her 10 days of Xing Su Yin. And guess what? Did absolutely nothing to her cough. And I was like, okay, this is odd. You know, I've heard there's some very highly regarded physicians in China that use Xiao10g or modifications of Xiao10g for coughs that won't resolve or for resolving long-standing issues from colds and that have mostly cleared. So let's try Xiao10g. So I just gave her Xiao10g for 5 days. She'll see what would happen. She also had this very, stressed energy, and so I thought that might help. And Xiao10g is supposed to help the qi dynamic with the lung qi descending and the spleen qi rising and clearing out the damp and harmonizing. And I felt it was like a really nice idea. Again, nothing. So at this time, I then was like, okay, let's pull out some big, powerful herbs for stopping her cough. I'm going to use raw formula, Jin Fei Cao San. Jin Fei Cao San is, I think it's just really strong for stopping cough and clearing out like a wind cold cough that doesn't go away. Let me look up exactly what I gave here to her. Jin Fei Cao San. It was 12 grams Bai Shao, 5 grams Gan Cao, 15 grams Jing Jie, Zitsuya 10 grams, Qian Hu 10 grams, Ban Shao 10 grams, Xing Ren 10 grams, Jian 10 grams, Bai Shao 10 grams, Xuan Fu Hua 10 grams. So this formula, I cannot stand making it. I have a dispensary in my office, and I make all the raw formulas. This is the worst formula to make. Why? Zitsuya is such a mess to dispense. It gets everywhere. And then Xuan Fu Hua is, you have to put it in bags, individual bags, and then seal them with one of these heat sealer things, because if you just put it in the formula, it's going to really irritate the throat. The flower, like little flower petals are going to come off. And then Bai Shao also has to be sealed in these little bags because it's these little seeds that roll around. And Jing Jie also makes a mess. So this is like the messiest, the most inconvenient formula. It takes forever to make. I don't like to make Jin Fei Cao San. But this case, I was like, all right, we need to take care of this. I made her 3 bags of Jin Fei Cao San. Did absolutely nothing for the cough. And she is now just having this horrible dry cough, and stiff neck and red eyes and dry mouth. And I said, okay, so I need to call someone, because obviously I'm not qualified here. This is beyond my pay grade. So I called up Dr. Liu, who is from Bastyr University, who's one of the founders of the Chinese medicine program at my alma mater, Bastyr. And he's an extraordinary Chinese medicine doctor who I go to in times of trouble. And I explained the case to him. And he said, you need to nourish the yin in the lungs, it sounds like, because she has this heat. She has this dryness presentation. So he said, use San plus Qing Zao Jiu Fei Tang. That'll be much more yin nourishing. And so that's what I prescribed. I made it. I should put I'll put in the show notes exactly what the formula was that I gave her, this, what the dosage and prescription was. Well, guess what? I gave that to her for 4 days, and it also did absolutely nothing. In fact, things got worse, because after I gave her that formula, she developed severe insomnia and like some manic anxiety. And this had dragged on for like a month or a little over a month. And she was ready to give up, because she was taking bags and bags of Chinese herbs, and it wasn't helping. And she didn't know who to turn to. And I was, getting close to giving up. Like, what do I do for this? She was getting close to giving up. Like, do I really want to stick with this? But fortunately, she's been with me a long time. She trusts me. She's a loyal patient. I said, we have to take this from the beginning. Maybe there's some clue we're missing. And so we did the whole examination again. And it really seemed like this lung yin deficient and kind of, and wind cold fettering the lungs, you would call it, and condition. But I noticed something, which is that the tongue and pulse didn't add up so much, because the tongue was really puffy. It didn't look like a yin deficient tongue. It looked like a big puffy tongue. And pulse was also slippery. So, why does she have where it's slippery, where it feels like round and kind of bouncy under your fingers? I'm like, why does she have a tongue and pulse that really suggests damp when all of her symptoms are dryness and cold? And I thought, maybe this is one of those cases of true damp, false dryness, where you have a person that has a lot of dampness, a lot of thick, heavy substances in the body that's clogging things up and stopping fluids from moving and preventing fluid metabolism. And that's why it looks like dryness, because the fluids can't move. And maybe that's what's causing the dryness in this lung that's causing this cough. And so that's worth a try. And by the way, here, I have to give a shout out to Andy Ellis, who runs Springwind Herbs, because I took a seminar with him, and we did a whole day just going over true damp, false dryness cases from a physician who specialized in this. And I was like, okay, this is interesting, but like, when am I ever going to use this? Well, I used a formula from exactly that day with Andy Ellis. It's a combination of a Wuling San and Juling Tan to drain damp. So it seems totally counterintuitive to somebody with so much dryness, dry cough, dry mouth, dry eyes, heat. So I'll put the form in the show notes. I'll just read it out now because it's very interesting. Fuling, 15 grams. Baiju, 15 grams. Jishuitang, 10 grams. Should be Jiao, but the patient didn't want to take donkey hide gelatin. I can understand why. Gui Zhi, 6 grams. Gan Cao, 4 grams. And so Jishuitang is a substitute for Jiao. It's not the same, but it's thick and it's a little similar. Zixie, 15 grams. Chiqianzi, 15 grams. Xing Ren, 15 grams. Zhimu, 10 grams. Chuanxiang, 10 grams. Seems like a crazy formula for her symptoms. From one bag, the coughing decreased so much. She took it for 4 days, and the cough was almost completely gone. The tongue, okay, I don't have what changed in the tongue here, but the cough frequency decreased. The mania ceased. I gave her 7 more bags of Wuling San plus Juling Tan, and I also added in Xuanzao Ren Tang to the formula, all of the herbs that were missing from that. And then after that, she was doing significantly better, but she still had a slight cough, and she still had some insomnia and, general feeling of mania. So I switched her to a formula Liu Shensan, which is 20 grams Dongshen, 15 grams Baizhu, 15 grams Fuling, 15 grams Bai Biando, 10 grams Zhigan Sao, it's very too much, 20 grams Huangqi. Trying to really kick that spleen into action. And after 14 bags of that, plus halfway through I added in, again, Suanzhao Ren, Chuanshang, and Zhimu to make the other herbs of Suanzhao Ren, all of the symptoms finally went away. That was an absolutely wild case with twists and turns, and I probably did a not great job of explaining all the details of this in the story. But the moral of the story is, one, sometimes you don't get it at first. Chinese medicine, stick with it and look again and try and find what's missing in the symptoms. And other moral of the story, look out for true damp, false dryness, because that's a real thing. And wow, that was the key to ending this woman's suffering and condition that went over 2 months. So thank you for listening. Hope you found this helpful. One of the other big hints, by the way, about a true damp, false dryness is that there's going to be issues with sweating. A lot of either sweating in the hands or no sweating in the whole body. And this woman had no sweating in her whole body at all. She couldn't sweat. Might have been nice to have Ma Huang, except that's not legal in America. But in any case, Ma Huang, it seems, would not have helped based on what his diagnosis actually was. So that's the story. If you want to chat about it, feel free to reach out by email or social media, and would love to hear anybody's thoughts or discuss or learn something new from anybody else who wants to share. As always, thank you for listening. Have a fantastic day.